Good evening, everybody. Good evening, and welcome to qualifying for round 2 of the 2023 F2 season. I'm your commentator Rob, and alongside me for the first time in quite a while is Miklos. Hello there.
Hello guys, welcome back again. I was commentating back then the second test day of DTM and I am here once again.
Yep, that's right. And we're here for round 2 in Indianapolis in America. It should be quite a fun one. If you missed what happened last time, Santino and Joey took victory in a pretty exciting Brazilian race. But let's see what's going to happen now. The weather's
Yes.
going to be bone dry.
Oh. So yes, basically the pole championship is the same order how the previous race finished because we had only one race, and from now on, I mean from
Yes,
tomorrow on
that's right.
exactly, it will change. I mean the order.
Yeah. Well, let's see what's gonna happen as this session is about to get underway.
Yeah, they are using the old version of Indianapolis because nowadays the layout has changed a tiny bit. To be honest, I prefer this old version. I don't know. Probably because of
I think
the
most
fans.
people prefer it.
I believe so. I don't know. I did not ask many people about it. But like in on mobile, when I was playing Real Racing 3, I was playing the new version already. Even there, it's the new version now. Let's see who's going to be the first person coming out from the box. As I can't really tell yet.
It's Sana
Yeah,
Troy.
exactly. Pardon me if I ask, is Sana he or a she?
She.
Ah, right. Are you okay?
I'll let you take the lead because I'm not feeling that great.
Just make sure to take care of yourself, okay? Like, you know,
Yes.
yeah, just please be okay. So, Sana will be the first one who's gonna start lapping
No,
on the
I'm
qualifying.
sorry, I can't continue. I'm sorry.
No,
I
it's
have to
fine.
go.
It's fine. It's okay. Please get well soon.
Someone else, please. Bye.
Yeah, see you. Yeah, I hope Robbie is going to be okay soon. And uh, Sana Choi, am I saying her name right? Yeah, so Choi will be the first one who will start lapping. Of course, the qualifying is 30 minutes long, as always. Uh, Ever since for a long time now, this is the case. And for the pole position, 2 points can be earned. And this is a very good system because even though some people are just, being fallen backwards on the championship, some of these pole positions might earn a graduation spot for them. Basically, I hope I'm not using this word weirdly. And Choi might be held up if she is not lucky, although the green card in front of her is quite far. Yes, I don't think there will be any problems because the F2 cars are still equal, if I know correctly. Yes, they are. Thank you for confirming it. All the cars are out on the circuit, all the 22 cars. If anyone would have missed the previous race, then just in case, I'm going to tell championship standings. So Santino Andreoli is leading the championship, basically won the previous race. Then João Pedro Curpi is the second, Alexander Arnold third, Sana Choi fourth, Thomas Anderson fifth, Michael Clark is sixth. Then Marvo Koenig seventh, Dominic DeCelli eighth, Will Parrish ninth, and Adam Hobot, if I remember correctly, is being 10th. Meanwhile, Choi is finishing her lap, and we can welcome someone familiar in the commentary seat, who's not anyone else but Joseph Pillows. Welcome here.
Hello. Once again, I think this is the second time I've been called upon because of illness for Rob. Hopefully he gets well soon. But here I am again. And, well, Just to clarify, because you were wondering how to pronounce Sana's name, it's pronounced actually Chue. I got that confirmation when she was in Formula E. It's actually pronounced Chue, not Choi.
Wait, okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's the first
Yeah.
time we are commentating together, if I remember correctly.
I think we might have commentated before, but I can't remember off the top of my head. It's been that long. I can't even think from a few years ago, to be honest with you. But there we go. I'm good at remembering other stuff, but I can't remember other stuff. That's just that. But yeah, it should be quite an enjoyable one. Obviously, this is the first voted track of the season, of course, because obviously the top class, of course, is over at Aragon. This is obviously a voted track. The next two voted tracks will be after Monza, and the other one will be at the finale, after the wildcard race, of course, gets chosen by Flo. Obviously, this place is chosen at Indianapolis. We've already had a race here this season with World Champ Car, and it proved to be an exciting race, of course. F2 have had good races here in the past, and hopefully it'll be a good one this week.
I won't be able to beat you in continuous talking. Like, I am so jealous of you that you can do this like so quickly and so fluently. But yeah, we have time to learn. I will try to get back into commentary. Hope nobody's minding that. La Rosa is making an overtake in the same time. So yeah, I have some work to do, but I will try to get back to it.
Yeah, indeed. I think that was why Dicelli's actually over 2 seconds off the pace. The man, of course, who took pole position last time out at Interlagos. It was because La Rosa overtook him on the track. So really, we haven't seen the best of Dicelli just yet. But so far at the moment, it is Michael Clark that's currently at the top of the timing sheets by 2 tenths ahead of DTM champion Rubino Gonzalez, who's obviously determined to try and put behind the disappointment of what happened at Interlagos. Obviously, it was compounded by a crash in qualifying and then a mechanical problem in the race, of course. So Gonzalez comes into this race still needing to finish a race in Formula 2.
As you say, exactly, and the first runs, or as I say, usually the first heat is now over. Everyone is back in the pits, and we refuel the car and change tires. Do you expect a surprise this time?
Bit of an interesting one here. I do expect some drivers, maybe not so much surprises, but I expect some drivers who may have had a bit of a lackluster Interlagos to have a better time out here at Indianapolis, of course. Of course, given it's the early stages of the season, really, you do expect maybe the pecking order to maybe be a little bit shuffled a little bit, but as the season progresses, as we even saw last season with the championship rivals, it does start to calm down a little bit as we get into the second half of the season. So I do expect maybe some drivers who didn't have the best time at Interlagos to do a good job here at Indianapolis.
Not to mention that, as I previously said, the pole sitter is getting 2 points. So, for example, the people who didn't score points in the previous round could get on their hands on some handy points. For example, Tobias Kress, anyone under Tobias Kress could jump up a position with the pole position now.
Yeah, indeed, and there's also the matter of a bonus point as well, provided, of course, they finish in the top 10. Of course, if anybody has not watched F2 this season, of course, the fastest lap point rule has slightly changed from last season to try and avoid a bit of confusion that was surrounding that rule last season. So instead, it's basically the same rule as what it is in the top class. Whoever gets the fastest lap, really, they have to finish in the top 10 in order to get that bonus point. Failure to do so, and the bonus point will not be awarded to anyone, really. So that's basically how it is, but so far we haven't got to that point yet, because obviously last time out at Interlagos, Alexander Arnold set the fastest lap and he finished in 3rd position. So we haven't got to a stage yet where somebody who has set the fastest lap of the race has finished outside the top 10 just yet. So hopefully that ends up still being the case as the season goes on, really.
Maybe this race, who knows? You know, like this series, maybe the GP4 OC series is full of surprises. I mean, I can tell personally how much, and maybe this is what it makes this whole championship pretty unique and one of a kind on the internet. Many have tried to copy, to repeat it, the same thing, but you know, one GP4 OC, and it cannot be copied so easily. That's why I feel like very happy and very proud to be part of this community.
Yeah, indeed, as now Tobias Kress is about to start his lap here at Indianapolis. Hopefully for his case, there's no traffic by the time he gets to the end of the pit lane. There are cars still emerging, but has he got enough of a gap to, I think that is Ross Denholm in front of him. I think he's got enough of a gap, so hopefully for his sake, he doesn't catch up to the Scotsman in front. He just comes around turn 2, and around turn 3 we go, heading our way in towards turn number 4 on the racetrack now. Then around the flat out turn 5, of course, in real life now, there's actually a chicane that leads onto the back straight, but of course we're using the full Grand Prix layout, and of course it's without that chicane, of course, the last chicane, of course, because obviously the modern version of Indianapolis is, of course, not available on Grand Prix 4. Surprisingly enough, it's just this version that's currently the latest for Indianapolis, the road course that is at the moment. There's now Kress making his way around the left-hander. We did see an overtake earlier on in qualifying involving La Rosa and, of course, DeCelli, which is why DeCelli's over 2 seconds off the pace. Curtis is the only one that stayed in the garage this time by, because usually after the first laps are done, one driver normally gets left behind for whatever reason, and on this occasion it's going to be Curtis that decides he's going to sit back for this one and then come back out for the next runs, as Kress is over a second off of Clark in the middle sector. This is so far not looking like a good lap for the German here. He's currently down in 18th place at the moment, is Tobias Kress. He comes out of the turn 13 banking, making his way onto the pit straight, and Kress crosses the line, and no improvement. He stays down in 18th. Oscar, no improvement. He stays in 3rd position. Thomas Anderson across the line he goes into 10th position. Finds some time in the last sector, in fact, because he was down on his personal best in the middle sector, and well, I think he'll be hoping he doesn't have the luck that he had last season in World Champ Car, where he was leading the race here last season before retiring at this very corner, in fact, on the banking. So hopefully Anderson will be hoping he doesn't have a repeat of that or what he had at World Champ Car last season. Lorenzo Tomaselli, no improvement for him. He stays in 16th position. Shana Choi making her way around the banking. She's up on her personal best. She's currently in 14th position at the moment. The South Korean driver crosses the line and she goes into 9th position. She had a good outing and into Lagos last time out, and looking to build on that here at Indianapolis. No improvement for Zorbach, and no improvement for early championship leader Andreoli. Sturt, meanwhile, goes into 13th position, as we now look at Alex Broster, who goes into 3rd place in the Campos. A good effort for him at this stage. The reigning champion, Wojciech Kulisic, determined to put the disappointment of Interlagos behind him, but he's only good enough for 18th on this occasion. Gonzalez, no improvement, stays on the front row with Clark for the time being. Chobot remains in P15. Clark doesn't improve on his 1 minute 13.7 lap. Kirby stays where he is for the moment. Same with Koenig as well. Here comes DeCelli, goes up into 20th position. Denholm, no improvement. He stays where he is at the moment, which is P6. Fontana Chow China now then. He's currently in 16th position as a Thai driver. Of course, won here in the Indy 500, of course, a few seasons ago when we had the Indy 500 in the OC, as Chow China crosses the line, but he loses time in the last sector and remains in 16th position at this stage of qualifying at the moment. And so far, I think that may be the second runs done with, if I'm correct on that. And at the moment, it is Michael Clark who's currently at the top. No, in fact, there's more that's crossed the line. Parrish goes up into 3rd. Arnold goes up into 13th position. And now I think that's it. So it is still Clark at the top. But at the moment, in fact, the top 3, should point this out, all consist of drivers who competed in DTM last season.
Did you breathe in the last 3 minutes?
I think I did. I had enough in me to do that entire thing. But yeah, as mentioned, of course, the top 3 currently consisting of drivers who competed in DTM last season: Clark, Gonzalez, and Parrish.
Yeah, it was the second wave done, and I wanted to say in the very beginning that we could see that Kress is not on a good lap when Oskan kept getting closer and closer to him. And usually when that's the case, it means that the lead driver might not be on the lap of his life. But, you know, we are having several rounds, several waves, and maybe in the next round or 2 runs later, they're going to have a way better lap than this one.
Yeah, indeed. As meanwhile, everybody now coming back into the pits. I do expect Aaron Curtis, who's currently down in last, to come out on the track next time by, because he obviously sat out previously there. I think there may have been a bit of contact there in the pit lane involving Ross Denholm there, because he's gone a little bit further away his garage, and I did see a little bit of tyre smoke coming off of him at that point in time, but luckily the mechanics should be able to get to him pretty okay, as I think Aaron Curtis is actually now on the racetrack. I can see on the mini-map there is a car that's just going around turn 5, and his pit indicator is not on, as you can see. So Curtis is now out on track, as he'll be preparing to start his second flying lap very, very soon in the Trident, as he currently finds himself down in last position. Here is the 2020 champion, and I do kind of feel sorry for Curtis at the moment, because he won the championship in 2020 in the series' last season before it got renamed to Formula 2, and unfortunately he's just not had a chance at the top class as a result. He's kind of been stuck in this series ever since he won the championship in 2020. As I think Miklos went a little bit quiet there at that point.
No. It was just a joke. Don't worry. Okay. I just don't know what to say suddenly, all of a sudden, because you basically said everything about the situation, about the drivers. So I don't know. Currently, I cannot really put anything for it. Maybe later.
Yep, Curtis is about to start his lap. Meanwhile, hopefully we'll get to him in just a little bit in the Trident, of course. As I think he's just crossed the line now. In fact, has he? I think he has. So I think Curtis has just started his lap now. Then in the Trident, although we've got to get to him as best as possible. Meanwhile, here he is. Let's see what his first sector has installed. 4 temps up on his personal best in the first sector, so at the moment he's on for an improvement, but by how many positions he'll gain, we'll have to wait and see what the Irishman is able to produce as he now comes onto the back straight, as we get a very nice camera from the nose here as more cars make their way out onto the racetrack. In towards the left-hander we go, as it looks like Curtis made a little bit of an error going into that left-hander there, so that might have cost him a bit of time approaching the end of the middle sector very, very soon. He comes out of this hairpin now then, up towards the end of Sector 2 now then, and he's still 6 temps up on his personal best, so I think without that mistake it could have been a lot more better, but we shall see where Curtis ends up as a result of this. But I don't think, looking at the gap between himself and Clark, I think he's not going to get himself into the top 10, but we shall wait and see unless he finds some time miraculously in this last sector. Around the banking he goes now then, Aaron Curtis across the line. He will go, and he goes into 16th position. He's out of last place, but not in the top 10 as we speak at this stage now. Then we now look at Samet Oskan, who's way off Clark in the first sector, 5 temps off to be exact, as he's currently in 5th position at the moment. Oskan looking for a better season after what was a disastrous switch to MP Motorsport last season after competing for the title in 2021, but missing out, of course, to now Renault driver Johannes Martins. It's not really been gone his way in F2 ever since, and he's trying to regain that form here at Dams. And at the moment, the Dams currently 2nd and 5th at the moment in this qualifying session. His teammate Gonzalez in front of Oskan at the moment in 2nd position. Oskan now then rounds the final couple of the corners. He will go on this racetrack now then, as the Swedish driver rounds the turn 13 banking on this racetrack. Oskan down the pit straight and across the line will go the Swedish driver. Oskan across the line we go, and he does not improve, stays in 5th position as a result of that. Who's the next one that's behind him at the moment as Oskan goes around the first few turns on the racetrack? A few more cars have crossed the line since then, as in fact they've just started their lap. In fact, Tomaselli meanwhile up on his personal best in the MP Motorsport. His teammate Tobias Kress just behind on the racetrack. Tomaselli goes 16th. Kress goes up to 3rd. That's a big improvement there for the German driver. Kulizec across the line he will go, and he's still down on the back row of the grid. It's not been a good start to the season for the reigning champion so far. Thomas Anderson gets onto the front row now in the Virtuosi. A good lap there from the man who took pole position here in World Champ Car last season. Zollback no improvement. He stays in 15th position. DeCelli improves, but only up into 18th. His teammate, Kirby goes up into 10th as Broster goes into 4th position in the Campos. Rubino Gonzalez, who got pushed off the front row by Thomas Anderson, looking to try and get that back. The Toyota reserve driver across the line now then, no improvement for him. Marvo Koenig across the line to go into 12th position. James Sturt across the line, he goes in the 2nd Campos, and he remains in 16th position for the time being now. Then there's a Van Amersfoort just across the line there, but he didn't improve on his lap. Here comes Adam Chobot across the line, no improvement, stays where he is, as Clark goes even better on his lap. He does a 1 minute 13.754, so he improves on his current pole time as a result. Denholm, no improvement, he stays where he is. Cho China across the line to go into 14th position at this stage now. As we now look at Francesco La Rosa in the 2nd Virtuosi. His teammate Thomas Anderson currently on the front row, but it looks like the Italian is not looking at an improvement as he currently lies in P11 in the 2nd Virtuosi. The Italian crosses the line now then, and he remains in P11 for the time being now then, so no improvement for Francesco La Rosa. Is that everybody done? Is there more cars out there on a lap? I think they are these ones done with, and Clark still at the top by 0.2 of a second, but on that occasion, Miklos, he was able to improve on that occasion.
Well, you know, so, sometimes it works out like that. And yeah, give me a second, please, because I just have to get done with something, and then I can comment it once again.
Okay. As Clark now then coming into the pits along with the Charoux in front of him at this stage of qualifying, as he now makes his way back into the pit lane as we speak. Curtis, Charles Chinat and the Rosa are out. In fact, has Curtis gone back out onto the track, I wonder? Because he was first on the racetrack, and his name is still out there on the racetrack, so I wonder if he's gone back out. Yes, he has. I've just seen his position code there. So Curtis, once again, not wasting any time in the Trident, and he's making his way out onto the racetrack now. Then as he makes his way in towards the right and left-hander now then, we will go, as we have just over 12 minutes to go in this session now then, and Curtis looking to try and get his Trident into the top 10. Teammate Choi is currently 13th at the moment, so far the Trident's currently struggling at this stage of qualifying, as now Aaron Curtis will make his way towards the banking on the racetrack now then, and Aaron Curtis will now come onto the pit straight, and the Irishman now then comes across the line to start his next flying lap, his third flying lap this will be, as there's more cars coming out.
Curtis now, because he needs a good lap. Finally,
luckily,
yes.
And look, I was just going to say, luckily for him, he didn't get held up there by his own teammate, Sana Choi, who was also coming out the pit lane at the same time there. But I wonder if Choi's going to interfere in his lap or not. We'll have to.
Yeah, that's the question, because Choi could be way faster than him, and if that's the case, then from slipstream she could make an overtake, and this won't really help Curtis. Also, Curtis is someone who would really need a top position, mainly because he's having 0 points currently in the championship, and only this is the second race, and she's making the move. And now that shows that Curtis is not so quick. And yes, that's all.
Yeah, so this is already Curtis's lap in the bin as a result. He was already down in Sector 1, but that just compounds his misery even further in the second sector. Clearly, with Choi going quick, it clearly shows that Curtis is not on any improvement at this stage now. Then is now the Irishman will make his way in towards the final couple of corners on the racetrack now. Then we go. Aaron Curtis making his way towards the turn 13 banking now. Then we go around the final turn and onto the pit straight will go Aaron Curtis. He makes his way onto the pit straight, and Curtis across the line. He will go in the Trident, and no improvement as expected. He stays where he is, which is P20 at the moment. Arnold starting his lap. Anybody else out there on a lap right now? Yes, Santino Andreoli, the early championship leader, starts his lap now. Then currently finding himself in P8 at the moment in the Frenchman, looking to redeem himself after what was a frustrating return to Formula 2 last season. And so far, it's got off to the best of starts for the Frenchman, although he's 45 thousandths down on his personal best in the first sector. But it's not impossible to recover time back in the last two sectors. We'll just have to wait and see how the Frenchman hooks this one up as he now makes way. He's got a yellow flag into turn number 3. Looks like there's a car if it's Choi. So Choi Sessin is done with, and that looks like a suspension failure because the car is pointed up in the air. So I think as a result of that, that is Choi Sessin's done with, and it's a puncher that's taken care of her. So session over for Sana Choi due to the spare car ban.
Yes, wanted to say exactly that. She's being on a very good lap because how she overtook her teammate, if I know it correctly. And
yep, she did.
It's basically the end of it, and she got it right at the beginning of her lap, right here, and well, that's the end of it. So, worst case scenario, she's starting from 21st.
Yeah, indeed, or 22nd, but the best case scenario, at bare minimum, she'll.
Oh yeah, I confused it.
In 13th position, so that's that at the moment, but that's the session done with, so the spare car ban will get implemented on her as soon as the AI is back in the garage as a result, which at the moment it isn't because La Rosa's car has just been spawned into the garage at this stage, because as mentioned, of course, usually one car gets left behind, of course. Andreoli meanwhile improves but remains in 8th position, whilst what happened with Sana Choi was kicking off. I think a car might spawn now because her teammate Curtis has just come back into the pits. Here comes Alexander Arnold in the new Tony Grand Prix team now then, as Arnold makes his way around the banking. Got a very encouraging start to the season by finishing in third and getting the fast lap. He wants to build on that, but at the moment he hasn't improved and he stays in 15th for the time being. James Sturt just starting a lap there. Then Tomaselli improves to go into 16th, gets in front of Nicholas Zorbach for the moment. Samatoskan across the line, he will go. The Swedish driver, no improvement. He stays in 7th place for the time being. Tobias Kress making his way around the banking now then as he makes his way onto the pit straight, and Kress crosses the line and does not improve. Broster, no improvement, stays in 4th place for the time being. Kulazec, can he find any improvement? No, he can't. He's still down in last as Kirby goes into 8th place in the ART, so he gets himself above championship leader Santino Andreoli. Anderson, no improvement. La Rosa just goes out on the track as we wait for Choi's car to still spawn, as my headphones are now starting to die on me, so I'll have to switch them once these next laps are done with, of course. So that's that. We're still waiting for Choi's car to appear, of course, as we now see Adam Chobot, who's up on his personal best, currently on the back row. Can he get off the back row? He can. Goes up into 14th and pushes Curtis onto the back row as a result. Marvo Koenig getting some slipstream in the Charoux, but it's not enough to help him improve. He's still in 12th. Chao Chinat stays in 15th position. Choi's car's still not been spawned in the garage just yet. Ross Denholm across the line. He will go. He's up on his personal best. Goes up into 5th there, so a good effort there for him. Gets himself above Tobias Kress at that point in time. James Sturt in the Campos, making his way onto the straight and across the line. He will go, and no improvement for the British driver. Stays where he is for the time being as more cars make their way back into the pit lane as La Rosa, in fact, about to start a lap very soon in the Virtuosi, as hopefully Chui's car spawns very soon now then, so that Flo can actually implement the spare car ban on her to make sure that she doesn't make her way back out onto the racetrack, as now La Rosa now makes his way around the banking, making his way onto the pit straight, and La Rosa does start his lap now, and Chui's now in the garage, so now we can put the spare car ban on her to prevent her from going out. A shame for Chui, really. She had a strong performance in Interlagos, but now it looks like she's going to have to do a bit of work at in the race tomorrow here at Indianapolis. So yeah, that's pretty much that, really, as La Rosa starting his lap. And why don't you take us through a lap, Mickey, whilst I just change my headphones?
Alright, sure thing. So, La Rosa is in the first sector now. There will be another right-hander, then a long left-hander after his corner. And here's the first checkpoint for the sector 1. And so far he's down by 436 thousandths of a second. But nothing is lost yet. He could bring the car back and the pace back in the middle sector. Of course, this is a semi-fast sector because there's a long straight, then a left-hander and a right, and another left. It's quite slow here, like aerodynamics means everything at this point. La Rosa's second sector is very much down, so it's basically guaranteed that he's not going to improve. Because here in the long section, you only have to push the throttle and turn the car a bit with your steering wheel. There is not much room to improve here anymore. And here comes La Rosa. Yep. By the way, as the time is progressing further and further, Michael Clark's chance for a pole position is growing further and further, even though back then we saw examples that drivers lost the pole position in the last few minutes. This could happen here as well. But he's going to be dominant today because he's in the first place for such a long time now.
Indeed, we just saw La Rosa there not being able to improve as Aaron Curtis is about to start his next lap now then in the Trident. He just starts his lap now as look in the pit lane. Luckily for him, nobody's at the exit of the pit lane by the time he gets down to turn 1, so he should have a clean lap this time and no interference from anyone else. So around turn 2 he goes, and around turn 3 goes the Irishman, as he'll be determined to try and get his Trident off the back row as best as possible and try and mitigate the damage of only having one car left in this qualifying session for Trident as a result of the mechanical issue with Chui. And he's actually 1/10th up on his personal best and 31 thousandths off of Michael Clark in the first sector at the moment, as so far he's on a very good first sector, but let's see if the Irishman can keep it up. Of course, his previous best lap, he made a mistake into this corner. Let's see if he can tidy that up, and he can this time, so no issues there for the 2020 GP2 champion, as Curtis rounds these two section of hairpins now then. He will go. Let's see what the middle sector has in store for Aaron Curtis now then, as he is 4/10ths up in the middle sector and 3/10ths off of Michael Clark. So maybe this time around, providing how this last sector goes, he could get himself into the top 10 and maybe even push the championship leader, Santino Andreoli, outside of the top 10. Let's see now as he rounds the turn 13 banking now then on the racetrack. Aaron Curtis making his way down the pit straight and across the line goes Aaron Curtis. Where does he go? And he goes into 16th in fact, so he actually doesn't go as high as I was expecting there. Lost a little bit more time in the last sector, but importantly he does get off the back row of the grid. Alexander Arnold, whose teammate Dominic DeCelli is on the back row, currently up on his personal best, like with Curtis in the first sector. Arnold currently down in 17th, so he desperately needs to improve, does the German driver, as let's see what his middle sector has in store, and he's 2/10ths up and 4/10ths down on Clark at the moment. So far not looking at the top 10 at the moment, but could get himself a little bit more higher than 17th. We'll have to wait and see now then, and maybe push Curtis down a position once again. So Alexander Arnold, round the banking he goes, and onto the pit straight goes the German driver. Alexander Arnold crosses the line now, then where's he going to go? And he goes into 13th position. Unlucky for some, but yeah, so Arnold's still just outside the top 10 as we speak. Actually had a better last sector there than what Aaron Curtis managed a little bit earlier on. And Santino Andreoli now then making his way down the pit straight, cross the line, and he's still in 10th, and he's got the checkered flag next to his name because he's run out of laps. Because of course it's limited to 15, as you can see on the def panel on the top of your screen there. Curtis coming back into pit lane as we wait to see who's next to cross the line, because Trident is now coming back in. Might be his session done with. We'll have to wait and see. There is somebody else coming around the banking, so who's about to finish their lap now then? As We are still staring at Curtis at the moment, as Oskin there was just a few tenths down the middle, set to no improvement for Tomaselli on that occasion. Oskin, meanwhile, up on his personal best, currently in 8th position. Let's see what the 2021 runner-up has in store. Oskin now then onto the pitch straight. Can he get himself closer to the front row? Oskin, across the line he goes, and he does. He actually gets onto the front row, gets in front of his compatriot, Thomas Anderson, and goes into 2nd position. A good effort there as Oskin now goes into 3rd place in the... Koenig goes onto the front row, so beats Oskin on that occasion. So a good effort there from Marvo Koenig to get onto the front row there. Here comes Joe Pedro Kirby in the ART. No improvement. He stays in 10th position for the moment now then. What about the car behind him? No improvement for, I think that was Michael Clark there, and it was in fact a Rodin Carlin, not Van Amersfoort Racing, and he stays on a 1 minute 13.7 for the moment. No improvement for the car behind Clark. That time by, no improvement for Gonzalez or Thomas Anderson. They were both holding each other up. Zorbach stays where he is, which is down in 20th, so not a good effort for him at the moment now then. Here comes Parrish, no improvement, he stays where he is for the moment. Ross Denholm is down on his personal best. It looks like it could be the final laps for some of these guys as the Scotsman now then rounds the banking now then. The turn 13 banking we will go as Ross Denholm now then comes down the pit straight and across the line he will go, and no improvement for the Scotsman. He stays in 7th position for the time being now then. Anybody else out there on a lap? Just trying to have a look. It doesn't look like it, unless somebody gets out before the 1 minute 13 mark. This could be qualifying over, but we'll have to wait and see on that, really, as I don't see any. I don't know if there's anybody else on track. We've passed the 1 minute 13 mark, but I don't know if there's anybody else that's about to start a lap here at the moment, because we're still looking at Thomas Anderson and the Virtuosi. Meanwhile, now then, as he now makes his way back into the pit lane, the Rosa is on track, but I don't know if he's finished a lap or not. So we'll just have to wait and see, really, as Anderson now then making his way back in the pit lane. What about La Rosa's actually on a lap, in fact, so it's not over just yet, as the Italian driver makes his way around the banking and down the pit straight he goes to cross the line. I'm not expecting an improvement because he is currently 12th at the moment. La Rosa crosses the line, no improvement, and stays in 12th position. Is that everybody done with, or is there a couple more cars about to start a lap? I'm not sure, as Arnold goes out, but just for some mileage. Anybody behind La Rosa? Sturt didn't come out in time, and I think that car in the background has just gone into the pit. So I think that is that done with, and as a result, it means that in only his 2nd Formula 2 race, it is Michael Clark who takes pole position for tomorrow's US Grand Prix here at Indianapolis for F2. A brilliant effort from the Rodin Carlin driver.
Yeah, as I said, as the time is passing by, Clark's chances of getting the pole position is rising, and in the end, nobody could beat him, so Michael Clark is getting the 2 extra points, which means at the moment he is on level with Thomas Anderson. Both of them are having 10 and 10 points.
Anderson, of course, still ahead, of course, on count back of results, of course. Anderson, obviously, in the first race finished ahead of Clark. But as a result, it is the first pole position in Formula 2 for Michael Clark. He'll definitely be delighted with that. But can he perhaps get a victory tomorrow? We'll have to wait and see. And, well, it should hopefully be quite an interesting race tomorrow here at Indianapolis as we wait for the guys who have come out on the track to get some mileage to cross the line. And then I think it will take us onto the main menu screen. So Sturt finished in the lap. I think Flo's actually going to help us push that along, in fact. So here is then the grid then as a result of this. So I'll read the first 11 and you can do the second half, Mickey. So
Sure thing.
For the first time in his F2 career, it will be Michael Clark that will start on pole, with Marvo Koenig in his 2nd ever F2 race in 2nd position. Stanwa Toscan, a good effort for him in 3rd, with fellow compatriot Thomas Anderson in 4th. Rubino Gonzalez, a much better qualifying for him in 5th, with Alex Broster in 6th. Ross Denholm will start in 7th, with Tobias Kress in 8th. Will Parrish starts in 9th, with Joe Pedro Kirby in 10th. Santino Andreoli, the early championship leader, could only manage 11th, and you could do the rest, Miklos.
And this is what it makes exciting for tomorrow. 12th place is being claimed by Francesco La Rosa, then 13th is Alexander Arnold, Sana Choi, or how do you say her name?
Choi.
I won't be able to pronounce that yet. I will practice it.
Say Sana and then that's that.
Adam Chabot is 15th, then Wojtek Kuleshek is 16th, Ponchanov Chauchainot is 17th, Aaron Curtis 18th, Lorenzo Tomaselli 19th, Nicolas Zoberg 20th, James Sturt is 21st, and Dominic Ticelli is starting tomorrow's race. The last place, AK 22nd. anyone who qualified outside the top 10 will have a difficult job to get some great positions, but don't forget, we are in F2 in a series with that anything can happen and anything will happen if you are following us tomorrow.
Yep, indeed, and of course this track is pretty much very overtake friendly, must be said, especially with the long straight heading down towards turn 1. We did see quite a lot of overtakes down into turn, I think it's turn 6, I think it is, or is it turn 7 that we saw earlier on with the two Tridents, of course. So it is possible to overtake around here, and of course Dominic DeCelli, of course, from getting pole at the last race at Interlagos to starting in last for this race. So a bit of a contrast to what it was last week over in Brazil. Well, there you have it then, guys. That has been it from the Formula 2 qualifying session here at Indianapolis. I hope you have enjoyed it. A very enjoyable qualifying session indeed, and hopefully we'll be in for an exciting race tomorrow. And hopefully Rob will be here tomorrow. Hopefully he's recovered to do the race tomorrow. Fingers crossed. Hopefully he'll be back in the commentary box tomorrow as well. But that's been it then, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Of course, the race will be on tomorrow at 7 p.m. BST, but of course also tomorrow we'll have the practice and qualifying session ahead of the European Grand Prix over at Aragon for the top class. The first ever time the top class will race at Aragon, of course, and the first European Grand Prix since 2016, when the first ever race at Baku held that name, of course. And so do look forward to that. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I'm JW97. He's with me, Klaus. Of course, he was Rob earlier on before he had to pull out because of illness. And we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Goodbye.